It's that time of year where speculation around the NFL is through the roof, whether it's free agents or potential trades that could happen. With that being said, this video will be NFL moves that could happen for the 2021 offseason based on educated guessing and gut feeling. And yes, some of these will be a little out of the box, so don't kill me in the comments section. I hope you guys enjoy. Leave some of your surprise moves in the comments, and let's get into it. Number 1, Dak Prescott signs with the Colts for 1 year, $25 million. I would have said that coming off the gruesome injury that Dak Prescott signs a second franchise tag to stay with Dallas. However, the Cowboys don't seem to have a ton of cap space to work with, and signing Dak to that second franchise tag will cost him over $37 million on the cap for 2021. For the Colts, I don't see them sticking with Philip Rivers once again, and a healthy Prescott is a clear upgrade for a team that's ready to win now and has cap space like the Colts do. Number 2, Deshaun Watson is traded to the Miami Dolphins. So it would be crazy to see a guy as talented as Watson playing the quarterback position at 25 years old be traded, but between the DeAndre Hopkins trade, the Bill O'Brien firing, and all the terrible moves he made, it wasn't just that. It was the recent events of what the Texans did with their GM and head coach hiring. So the Texans don't have a head coach yet, but for the GM, basically the Texans informed Deshaun Watson he would have some input on who their next GM is. Well, they did the complete opposite and hired Nick Caserio without even consulting with Deshaun Watson, so that already pissed him off. Now, Deshaun Watson's preference of head coach going forward is the Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. The Texans interviewed a lot of head coaching candidates, and Eric Bieniemy was not on that list, and that really set Deshaun Watson over the top. So Houston's first round pick, as we know, is 3rd overall, and it belongs to Miami. Miami right now has a win now roster, but some questions at their quarterback position with Tua. We don't know what the future holds for him. Is he the guy? Is he just a game manager? I think we all can agree that Deshaun Watson's a lot better right now at this point than Tua Tagovailoa. So anyway, my prediction is that he would be traded to Miami in exchange for Tua Tagovailoa, Miami's 3rd overall pick, a 3rd round pick for this year, a 5th round pick for this year, and a 1st round pick in 2022. So the Texans would get a young Tua Tagovailoa. Maybe he turns into something. The 3rd overall pick this year, a 1st next year, a 3rd this year, and a 5th this year. So it's a pretty good haul for a guy like Watson who doesn't really seem committed with the Texans going forward. So for Houston, they get a start on their rebuild that's inevitable coming up. And Nick Caserio might want to tear this whole thing down, get rid of some of the older guys. You know, Watson's not old, but get rid of the Whitney Merciless, J.J. Watts, and all those other guys that are making a lot of money, and just start fresh. And trading Deshaun Watson and gaining a lot of draft capital can be the start of that. If they don't want Tua, they can take a quarterback at 3, whether it's a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields or a Zach Wilson. They'll have a chance to pick somebody they want. So maybe it's not Tua, maybe they trade somebody else. But the point is, they have the assets, Miami, to make this happen. They have their 3rd overall pick from the Laramie Tunsil trade. So I think it's possible. I think the Texans would be smart to stick it out with Watson, but to make this video fun, I'll say Deshaun Watson ends up with the Miami Dolphins for 2021. Number 3, Allen Robinson is franchise tagged by the Chicago Bears. So yes, I know it's boring to have one guy stay with the same team on a franchise tag, but I personally cannot fathom the Bears letting Allen Robinson at 27 years old, a guy as talented as he is, walk away for nothing. I just think it would be malpractice in my opinion. So I think that the 1 year, it's like 16 point something million dollars for a wide receiver franchise tag is not too bad. And to let a guy like him walk, as I said, is a bad idea. Now, I do think the Bears need to make some type of quarterback upgrade. They declined the 5th-year option for Mitch Trubisky, so he's a free agent. I just don't think the Bears can keep trotting out these Chase Daniel, Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles type quarterbacks. They have to make some type of improvement for the receivers, whether it's Allen Robinson or Darnell Mooney, Jimmy Graham, Cole Kmet. They have a lot of talented guys there. They just have to get the right guy throwing the ball, which is the big issue. So I think they make some type of improvement, or at least attempt to, and I think keeping Allen Robinson is a step in the right direction for that offense. I cannot see them letting him walk. A sign and trade is possible, but I think franchise tagging him is the first thing they'll do this offseason. Number 4, Kenny Golladay signs with the New York Giants for 4 years and $78 million. So as a Giants fan, I don't know what my personal preference is, but thinking about it from the Giants standpoint, I think they'll personally go after the number 1 receiver on the board in free agency. And in this scenario, with Allen Robinson being franchise tagged, it's either Kenny Golladay or Chris Godwin. I personally think that Kenny Golladay is a better player, fits the Giants better, and I think they'll go after him, honestly, in this scenario. So Like Dak Prescott, Golladay had some bad timing for an injury-riddled season in a contract year. However, Golladay has proven enough the past 3 years that he's one of the best receivers in football. He's great at contested catches. He can use his body to box out people. He's a perfect number one for a team like the Giants. And for the Giants, they have quarterback Daniel Jones in year 3. It's a make-or-break year for him. And even more importantly, their GM Dave Gettleman, who picked Daniel Jones, of course, is in a make-or-break year as well. So if you're Dave Gettleman, why wouldn't you want to sign a guy to help Daniel Jones get better? And I think signing the number one wide receiver on the market in Kenny Golladay in this instance would make a lot of sense for the Giants to not only make Daniel Jones better, but save his job, Dave Gettleman himself. So I think for the Giants, it makes a lot of sense. So if the Giants get the top remaining wide receiver, it'll help their offense a lot, and it'll make Daniel Jones the best he can be. I think it's a move that makes sense for both sides. Number 5, Chris Godwin signs with the Washington football team for 3 years, $50 million. Now, realistically, I could see Godwin being franchise tagged by the Buccaneers, but to make this video more fun once again, I say Washington football team here. So this team showed they have a legit defense last year with the emergence of young guys like their defensive line and Daron Payne and Young, Chase Young, of course, and Montez Sweat and all those guys. But they still need more playmakers on offense. Yes, they have Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson looked good as a rookie, and Logan Thomas, but they need another guy to bring them over the top. They have Cam Sims on the outside. The one thing they're really missing on offense, other than some offensive line pieces, is a quarterback, but they could really use a slot receiver as well. And Chris Godwin is one of the better slot receivers in football since being in that spot, since Bruce Arians took over for them last year. So they still need a quarterback upgrade. That's the most important part, but adding a Chris Godwin can make a lot of sense. Now, the Buccaneers have to pay guys like Shaq Barrett and Levante David as well, so they probably won't be able to sign all three. Maybe Chris Godwin finds a way to get his way off the Buccaneers and signs with the Washington football team. We'll find out, but I feel like from a need perspective, it makes a lot of sense for Washington to make this move. Number 6, left tackle Trent Williams signs with the Los Angeles Chargers for 2 years and $20 million. So Trent Williams proved coming back in 2020, he's still one of the best left tackles in football, playing for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, he will go to another California team here, but this California team desperately needs a left tackle. Now, they have some other good pieces on the offensive line, like Pouncey, Bulaga, Trey Turner they traded for in the offseason. They have some good pieces there, but the Chargers really need a left tackle to protect the blind side of Justin Herbert. Now, I know that Trent Williams is 32, 33 years old, but he has at least a few more good years in him. I think this move would make a lot of sense. I don't know how much it will cost exactly, but $10 million a year for a guy of his age seems fair to me. The Chargers would have a win-now roster, kind of, so I think that would make sense for Trent Williams to go to a location or a team that's not too far from the 49ers. So I think it can help Justin Herbert progress a lot. It's a good fit for Trent Williams. It fits a team need as well. I think this one makes a lot of sense. Not sure what the contract would be, but I have it for 2 years, $20 million, Trent Williams to the Los Angeles Chargers. Number 7, safety Justin Simmons signs with the Jets for 5 years, $70 million. So the Jets will be one of the leaders in cap space this upcoming offseason in 2021, and with the emergence of their strong safety Marcus May, it could create one of the best safety duos or tandems in the NFL with Simmons and May. So chances are he'll stick with Denver. I don't know if it's a second franchise tag or a long-term deal, but to make this one fun once again, I think Justin Simmons would be a good fit for the New York Jets, who had an atrocious secondary in 2020. They had more, it was more bad play at cornerback, but having a great free safety like Simmons back there can really help your secondary. I think this move makes sense for both sides. The cap space is there, the need is there, and maybe Justin Simmons wants a new home, so I think the Jets would make sense in this scenario. Number 8, tight end Hunter Henry signs with the Carolina Panthers for 4 years and $40 million. So the Panthers had a real problem at tight end this year. They were let down by Ian Thomas, who was supposed to be their guy at tight end. They had some other guys behind them I never heard of, and due to the letdown by Thomas and him not looking really like the answer going forward, I feel like signing a guy like Hunter Henry, who is a proven tight end, maybe he has not lived up to the hype in the second round that he once was back in 2016 in the NFL draft, but he's had a solid NFL career so far. Yes, there have been some injuries. Yes, there's been some letdown, but Hunter Henry is a top 10 tight end in football, honestly. So if the Chargers, they get Trent Williams in this scenario, they would not be able to sign Hunter Henry probably. It would probably cost too much money at that point. Maybe they could afford both. You never know. But in this scenario, they lose Hunter Henry to the Panthers, who have not really had a great tight end since Greg Olsen was in his prime. And having other good players at skill positions like, of course, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson was a great find. Adding Hunter Henry to that, group of receivers and skill players would be a really deadly combination for Teddy Bridgewater or a young quarterback that plays for the Panthers. I feel like the move makes sense. Does Hunter Henry actually leave the Chargers? I'm not sure, but if he did, the Panthers would be a nice fit. Number 9, there's been a lot of questions about his future since Saturday, but Phillip Rivers, I have him signing with the Titans for a 1-year, $8 million. So Rivers gave it a go with the Colts, and they did not have enough firepower offensively to overtake the Buffalo Bills. I'd be surprised personally if Indy brought him back, as I mentioned before, I think, but Rivers right now has a gig in line to coach a high school football team in Alabama, which is where Rivers is originally from. Now, the drive from, I think, where Rivers is from to the Tennessee Titans Stadium is like less than 2 hours. I personally feel like if Rivers wants to give it one more go in the NFL, yes, it would be as a backup to Ryan Tannehill, but why not go to the Titans? I feel like Rivers still has his heart in the game. He does not want to retire yet on losing in the first round of the playoffs type terms. Why not give it one more go with the Titans? Maybe the Titans finally get themselves a good defense next year and find a way to go all the way and get themselves a Super Bowl and get Phillip Rivers a Super Bowl finally. So if you're Rivers here, maybe you give it one more go. Maybe he could retire. Maybe he goes elsewhere. I don't really know where else he would go, but Tennessee, based on where he is at home and that being very close to where he grew up, I feel like it makes a lot of sense. Yes, it's as a backup, and some people speculate he might not want that, but if he doesn't want to retire, which other team is going to guarantee Phillip Rivers a starting gig? Not many teams, I feel like. So I think going to Tennessee would be best for him and his personal life and all that, but that is up to him, of course. But I think it could be a possibility that he goes there on a 1-year deal. And number 10, wide receiver Will Fuller signs with the Packers for 4 years and $70 million. So the Packers have tried to use Marquez Valdes-Scantling as a deep threat option. Has not worked out too well in the past couple of years, so they can definitely use an improvement there. And outside of Devontae Adams, I know Allen Lazard is a pretty decent guy. Robert Tonyan has stepped up this year, but they don't really have a really good wide receiver 2 on the Packers, as we know. Now, Will Fuller has had his injury history. He's coming off a suspension, but the fact that there's a new GM in Houston, as we talked about before with Nick Caserio, he might not want to tie a bunch of money into a guy like Will Fuller, who once again has an injury history in the past. So Fuller paired with Devontae Adams, Robert Tonyan, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, if he comes back, that can make an already dominant offense even better, possibly unstoppable. So I think it'd be a good signing. Am I a fan of Will Fuller, as compared to in the cold environment in Green Bay as compared to a dome in Texas? Not exactly. It's definitely harder to, be the type of receiver he wants to be in that type of environment, but he can still do it. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, so I'm sure he'll make that one work. But as long as Fuller stays healthy, that would be a great fit in my opinion. We'll see if they have the money to do it, but I do think it's possible that Will Fuller does leave the Texans this year. So that'll do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave in the comments if you want to see a similar video to this. There's a lot more free agents upcoming, possible trade scenarios. I can do like a part 2 if you guys want to this video. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you guys next time.